Diesel was feeling very pleased with himself. He had managed to convince the trucks that Duck had caused a lot of trouble, which had then resulted in Duck falling out with Gordon, Henry and James. The Fat Controller had sent Duck to work at Edward's station. Diesel was pleased. This meant he could cause more trouble. But knowing that the Fat Controller would catch on soon, he decided to be extra careful. During his time around the yard, Diesel had made an unexpected friend who was more than happy to help him with the devious schemes he had in mind. There was a brake van in the yard who didn't like anyone working with him. The van was vile and bitter and always thought he needed better care. True, the brake van had worked hard on the Fat Controller's railway even long before Thomas and James had arrived. But now the van was too twisted and bitter in its ways to change, and had a habit of causing trouble for the engines. He would make horrible comments, slip his brakes on purpose, and even more so, he would even pin the blame on the engines pulling him and take it himself. Diesel liked this brake van and decided to use him for his next schemes now that Duck was safely out of the picture. When the brake van learnt what Diesel had in mind, he was more than delighted. Soon, his behaviour became more reckless and dangerous than before. James stalled on Gordon's Hill and the van ordered the trucks to hold back. Even Edward, who was still looking after Duck on his branch line, had the van once or twice. Percy and Thomas didn't like him either because of the spiteful comments he made about tank engines. This brake van meant trouble, and not even the Fat Controller was currently aware of what it was doing. One day, Diesel was shunting trucks in the yard when he noticed the brake van coupled to some cattle vans. These were for Henry to take to the other side of the island. Diesel was pleased. "You know what you have to do with those, don't you?" he smirked. "Of course I know what to do," grumbled the van. "Don't you tell me how to do my job. I'd watch your tongue if I were you," smirked Diesel. "Besides, you're one of the most important brake vans on the railway. I heard that Henry said that you have passed your working life and should be scrapped." The van was furious. "I'll teach him a lesson," he barked. "Just you wait." Diesel scurried away, delighted at what he had done. The van did manage to hold Henry back on Gordon's Hill, and reluctantly, Henry had to accept Duck's help, who was currently serving as banker while Edward was away. It was soon time for the three engines to call an indignation meeting. "I tell you what," thundered Gordon angrily, "that brake van is disgraceful." "Disgusting," rapped James. "Despicable," ruptured Henry. The three engines were just about to blame Duck when the Fat Controller arrived. "I'd like a word with you three," he boomed. "It seems you've all been blaming the wrong engine in league with the trucks." The engines were surprised. "I've just had a brake van who I had no idea was causing trouble for you all tell me that Diesel was responsible for everything that's gone on in this yard." The three engines stared in bewilderment. "I'm not sure exactly what this brake van's intentions were, but I know that Diesel's were far worse," thundered the Fat Controller. "And I am very disappointed in all three of you. You all know better than to jump to conclusions before finding out the truth. I do hope when Duck returns, you will all owe him an apology." Gordon, James and Henry looked away, ashamed of themselves. The Fat Controller turned sharply on his heel and walked away. Before long, Diesel was sent away in disgrace, and after crashing into a barber shop while preventing a serious accident, Duck was welcomed home by the other engines. But what about the brake van? Well, even though he sold Diesel out, he continued to live up to his name as Spiteful. But I should tell you about the time when the Fat Controller ordered not one but 2 engines from Scotland but I mustn't tell you any more, otherwise that would lead to a story most of you would all know.